A real estate investor asked GaryV what he thinks a good approach for someone new to creating content would be. Should they start all in on YouTube, do 20% on each platform, or how should each platform be treated for the best viewership?
The answer is nobody really knows, because you may over-index as a communicator on a different platform than somebody else in this room. For me personally, I would definitely get serious about TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and LinkedIn. If I had to give an answer for the general population of this room, Instagram's too hard. Too much supply and demand, too hard. TikTok is getting harder, but still has a window. YouTube Shorts, I'm very bullish on, and especially for this audience if you title the video smart. And LinkedIn, I think, has real potential and is still very underpriced on distribution for this audience. So for you, I would do LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok.
In a commission-driven industry, you don't always earn what you're hoping for. What would you say for new workers to the industry and established workers with years of experience?
Look, my sister has gone through this journey. My sister has transitioned from being a teacher to being a stay-at-home mom to now being a real estate agent over the last 4 to 5 years. And so, I'm her older brother, we're very close. I am who I am, so we spend a lot of time together on this. And I've watched her go through the ups and downs. In a post-COVID world, it was completely crazy, even during COVID. And then in a post-COVID world, there's a real correction. This is why I wanted to make such a big point of how everyone's so fortunate to be in this market. Good markets confuse people. There's a lot of people in this room who are actually not that great that are doing very solid. It's not because they're great, it's because the overall market's great. What do I think? I think that people need to take on accountability. I've again interacted with the real estate broker quite a bit in the last 15 years, and I'm dumbfounded by how everybody would rather blame the government or the market instead of blaming themselves. What happens? When you lose, it's your fault. And that's okay. Being a commission-based human means that you're at higher risk for failure. One of the reasons this industry is so interesting to so many people is it's lucrative. When it's good, it's good. But to me, what do I think? I think that's merit. I think that's the human game. As a matter of fact, a lot of people here are going to lose market share to the people that did raise their hands. The biggest thing that's been fascinating me in analyzing the market is how many experienced agents in here will lose business to far less experienced agents in here, because the inexperienced agents are going to outflank them in marketing. And I don't think that they should blame TikTok for that. I think they should blame themselves. I would argue it's never been better for new agents than it is now because of social media. Before social media, it was harder to build a book, right? How many people have been doing this for 15 years or more? Raise your hands. Raise it high. 15 or more. Please raise high. These people that have raised their hands, they know. It was harder to break in 15 years ago. It's just so much easier, and I think people should take advantage of it. My concern is for the people that have been doing it for 15 years. I don't want them to lose market share because they are taking for granted that they have word of mouth. Social media is word of mouth at scale. This is a word of mouth business. This is a relationship business. To not use the pipes of social media to scale your word of mouth is crazy.
When you're early or new to content, how do you stand out and not copy everyone else by doing the same trends as everyone else?
Let me understand. Because you don't want to copy, you're just going to let everybody else get the business? I have a better idea. Why don't you copy? You have to understand, you as a human being are already standing out because you're a different human being. You might say one word differently. You might have one different joke. One of the things I do, as a lot of you know, I talk about a lot of different things. I'm a very successful businessman who makes videos about going to garage sales and buying things for 50 cents and selling it for $2. All of us are different. You could talk about your history. Again, you can control your privacy or not, but good news, you'll love this, it's the truth. You're already different because you're just a different human being. You're also going to have a listing that somebody else doesn't have. That already makes you different. The house is different. The apartment's different. The estate is different. Don't worry about that part. It's one of those silly things that doesn't mean anything. Okay. What most people are actually saying when they don't want a copy is they're sad they haven't started and they feel insecure that they have no followers. That's what you're really saying. Not maybe you, but I'm saying in general, right? The good news is, and I started with this in the beginning of the talk, it doesn't matter anymore how many followers you have. That game changed. Now it's about the individual piece of content. You could have 0 followers on TikTok and your first video could get 1 million views. That was unheard of for 10 years. The world's changed. It's now about the individual post, not about your followers, which should be huge for a lot of you because a lot of you didn't want to go on because your competitive broker has 10,000 and you're at 0 even though you're 10 times bigger than them and you were worried about the perception. That world doesn't exist anymore.
A real estate agent runs a lifestyle blog and has been doing so prior to her real estate career. Now she also loves real estate and is wondering if she should separate her upcoming real estate content on a different social channel or if she can combine both lifestyle and real estate content on one channel. Will combining the two interests hurt her place in the algorithm?
You should do it in one. It's not going to ruin your algorithm or insights. It's just not going to perform as well. Okay. When you're posting lifestyle and people are following you for fashion or food or travel or your taste, that's what they've been following you for and that's what they're interested in. Plus it's more interesting than you trying to sell them a home. Yeah. But it's okay to have content that does well and content that doesn't do as well, because when it doesn't do as well, the way you're judging that is it's only going to get 88 likes instead of 4,000 likes. Likes are not the goal. When you post something about this amazing purse or this amazing restaurant or this amazing place you visited, that's great. That keeps people engaged. But when your 4th post is a listing, it's equally okay for that to only get 10 likes instead of 5,000 because you're not there for likes. You're there for one person to buy it. And so too many people, if you listen, it's all the same thing. It's an ideology. You're worried about your algorithm because you're worried about getting as many likes as the last post got, and that means nothing. Meanwhile, you're willing to not sell as much because you don't want to ruin your 3,000 likes per post. Think about that. I'd rather ruin all my likes to grow my business.
A real estate agent just recently started a new YouTube channel. She's having difficulties planning her content. What systems should she be using to stay on top of her everyday posting?
Yeah, so I think one thing kind of that I said years ago that it was just in a podcast and it became one of the most substantial pieces of content I've ever made, and I didn't think it was a big deal at the time, really will help a lot of people here who want to do YouTube. The way you plan content is not in the micro, it's in the macro. The macro point of view I have on this is if you documented your content instead of created your content, it would get very easy. So instead of thinking about what you're gonna make, just film everything you're doing, and then you have documentation, and then you can decide, or you could just post the whole darn thing, so it's more vlogging than trying to do a TV episode. Instead of trying to do what Ryan, right? Like that's a multi-million-dollar production company and distribution model. We're just humans. You could even do it with your own phone. I really think it's a documenting versus create. And again, posting, when this is your priority, it is your priority. Everyone's like, Gary, how do I plan my, again, how do you plan your eating? So it's because it's your priority, right? Yes. You can easily, like I post at 8:30 in the morning, 11:30 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, in the afternoon, and 7:30 at night. It is my priority. People are like, I have no time to, I said it, for the first 38 years of my life, I said I didn't have time to go to the gym until it became my priority, and now I don't miss it ever, and I'm busier than I've ever been. The reason everyone's struggling is because this right now in this room is not a priority. It is not. It is for people that are coming up in the game, like that gentleman who gets 95% of his leads because he was 2 years in. It was the only way he was going to break out. So you just have to make it a priority.
A real estate agent has built a small following on social media. He has been building up the quality of his content, but now feels stuck because he's finding it hard to keep up with the level of quality his audience is used to.
You've created an ideology of what the quality should be. Quality is like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder. You're the beholder. You're sabotaging yourself by creating rules to not make more content. If you like me so much, have you not seen my videos where the lighting sucks, where I look like crap, where I don't give a crap, and I'm just putting out the content? Right? And I'm very empathetic to this. Like, the amount of people, they're like, Gary, I can't post 4 hours, 4 times a day. And I ask them, and then I realize it takes them 3 hours to post one video. And I'm like, what does that mean? And they're like, well, it takes me an hour and a half for makeup. And I'm like, you start getting into that, and I'm really empathetic to that. I don't say that lightly. I understand. The problem is, you're just digging a deeper and deeper hole of insecurity based on judgment. If someone doesn't love you without makeup, you don't want them to love you.
A real estate agent asked GaryV, how do you manage your content? How does a beginner manage their content like you have? What parts of it is dedicated? How do you build a content team so that you can focus on the business operations?
Understood. So today, I have 25 full-time employees that work on my content. However, the first 9 years that I made content, I had 0. So when I answer 25 today, and everyone's like, oh, see? I remind all of you that the first 9 years, I did it all by myself. By doing it by myself for 9 years is what enabled me to afford having 25 full-time employees on it. So to answer your question, first, I don't think any of you should delegate any of it at first, because if you don't understand it, you won't know how to hire, and more importantly, you won't know how to judge someone that you hired if you don't understand it. Listen, the reality, my friend, is this. I actually believe this is the single most important thing for any business and person in business today. I would rather know how to make social media content than know how to manage my checkbook. It's that important. Every day that goes by, this is becoming more important. Every day. So I would say, in the short term, before you delegate this to your 25-year-old niece or to some 18-year-old you met at a conference, spend 1 year and do it yourself. Taste it. Understand it. Because if you don't, you're going to pay someone who's not going to do a good job, and you're going to have no clue that it's not a good job, and then you're going to say it doesn't work. Social media is like basketball. If you're not good at basketball, you're not going to make any money. If you're good at basketball, you're going to make $1 billion. And so this is very important. So please don't delegate it. Do it for a year or two yourself, learn it all, and then you can start building a team. And when the next question comes where do I find time? Every person in here does a 2.5-hour lunch that could be 45 minutes.
Where is the next underpriced attention? Is it too late on TikTok?
It's not too late because creative is the variable of success, but to your point, it's like real estate development. 4 years ago, TikTok was like buying beachfront property. Now you're buying 7 streets from the beach. It's still good because it's still a great beach, but it's not as good. Yes, I believe there is an underpriced platform. I don't know if you heard the keynote that I just gave, but there's something called YouTube Shorts. It's there. As a matter of fact, do you know what my other very favorite underpriced platform right now is? Facebook Reels. So this has been a mind twist for me. I haven't been talking about Facebook being underpriced for a decade. But by show of hands, people posting on Facebook Reels? So a solid amount compared to some of the other things. Facebook Reels is actually on fire because not as many people are posting, but there's still so many people consuming. It's out of fashion. It's not as cool. Good news. The demo that's consuming on Facebook buys expensive homes.